Hello, everyone, and welcome to another match preview on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzy, and I'm your host for today's show. A fantastic win in the Champions League against Bayer Leverkusen. So now we switch over our attentions to the Premier League, and it's a tricky fixture against Aston Villa, who have had a great start to their season. They're currently sixth in the table with 18 points. However, in the last 7 days or so, it's not gone their way as they lost to Crystal Palace, which ended 2-1 in the Carabao Cup. Then they got thrashed 4-1 by Tottenham last weekend, and they just lost to Club Brugge, which ended 1-0 midweek in the Champions League. So they're currently going through it, but that's an advantage for Liverpool and a great time to face the villains who have been tricky opponents in the past. Let's talk about Liverpool. We just scored by Leverkusen 4-0 in the Champions League. We beat Brighton in back-to-back fixtures. The first one was in the Carabao Cup, and then we also beat them in the Premier League, where both Arsenal and Man City end up dropping points, which was a great time for us. So Liverpool are currently top of the table in the Premier League and Champions League. What a time to be a Liverpool fan. But we have to give huge credit to the gaffer, which is Arne Slot. It's always a difficult act to follow a legend like Jurgen Klopp, but the way he's conducted himself and has the team playing with his philosophy and identity is second to none. It's pretty remarkable how quickly the players have bought into his tactics, and I can safely say that most of our fan base are fully invested in Slot ball. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. A bit cliche, but we'll take it one game at a time and see how the season unfolds. So let's focus on this upcoming fixture. During the show, we'll predict the lineups and I'll discuss how I expect both teams to set up tactically, and then I'll reveal my score prediction. But before that, let's present the team news and see who's available for this fixture. On the Liverpool side, it's the same names that are currently unavailable, the likes of Alisson, Harvey Elliott, Diogo Jota, and Federico Chiesa. But these players could be back in contention after the international break. For Aston Villa, Matty Cash and Ross Barkley have picked up injuries and are unlikely to be available for this fixture. So let's move on and predict the lineups. And we'll start with the away team today, so we can talk in terms of how they will set up and then how I believe Liverpool should counter in terms of our tactical setup and what sort of system we should play against them. So in goal, I don't know who's surprised it will be Emiliano Martinez. Hopefully he's not doing any shithousery during the game, but you never know with him. And in terms of their fullback, it would have been Matty Cash, but I will probably go for Konsa, who has played there quite a few times over the past for Villa. Traditionally centre back, but I think he will play on that side. And then you've got Diego Carlos will play in centre back alongside Pau Torres, left-footed centre back, very good on the ball. And Luka Dean, who's had a good start to the season, he will be at left back. So that is a strong back four for Aston Villa. In terms of the double pivot, I'm going to go for Onana, the £50 million signing from the summer. And then he will be alongside Tielemans, who was a free transfer, so it didn't cost much. In terms of their advanced three, I'm going to go for McGinn. It probably would have been Bailey, but I feel like Emery is favouring McGinn in this position, so I'm going to go for the Scotsman there. On the left side, they do have options. They have the likes of Buendia. He hasn't played much this season, but it's still an option, I would say. You've also got the likes of Leon Bailey, even, who can play left wing, but I think he's better on the right side. You've got Ian Matson as well. Left back can play left wing. You've got Philogene as well, who can play either wing. But I think he'll stick with Ramsey. Ramsey played last weekend against Tottenham Hotspur, so I think he'll stick with Jacob Ramsey there. And then through the middle, it has to be Rodgers. Rodgers has definitely been their stand-up player this season. They signed him in the January window, but this season he's really made a name for himself, and it's pretty much a starter week in, week out. So yeah, he definitely deserves to be in that lineup. Up top, there has to be Watkins, but they do have the man of the hour, John Duran, who can come on and cause havoc. So that's something we'll need to be wary of in terms of the second half, in terms of how we can handle him and make sure he doesn't have any influence or any goal scoring opportunities, because he only needs one moment and then he normally takes it with both hands. So a very interesting profile of a player to have on the bench. But in terms of the starting lineup, it is a strong team. The back four, because of Matty Cash's injury, you've got a more defensive-minded right back there. So whoever's playing left wing will need to be more direct, in my opinion, and try and get the best out of their attacking play. Try and go through the byline and add a bit of a gap between the right back and the centre back, which will allow our number 10 or even our striker to exploit. So tactically, we need to try and stretch the pitch as much as we can and see how it goes from there. Pau Torres, very good on the ball, so I need to make sure that we're pressing on him and he's not pinging balls left, right, and centre. Leo Carlos, he's a player that will probably try and need to rattle a little bit. He can be very rash in his tackles. If you bother him here and there, he does tend to bite back, which is to our favour. So he's only far away from getting booked. So definitely someone that we can try and get on sort of like an upper hand on. Luka Dean, very good fullback, defensively sound as well, has a great delivery, especially from set pieces. So open play, need to watch out for him, but I think from set pieces, we do need to make sure we are able to defend against free kicks or corner kicks that he's able to produce. In terms of the double pivot, Onana, Tielemans, probably not the most energetic of midfielders, but he works hard for the team and has a good range of passing. Onana would be the guy that covers that ground. He can be box to box as well if required, so he's going to be energetic. Whenever we faced him, when he was playing at Everton, he normally had a good game against us. So technically a good player and can definitely exploit the spaces and maybe thread some through balls if required. I know he's playing a bit more deeper than he normally does, but he can still have an influence on this team. And then McGinn, a very hard-working player. Whether we play him on the left, right, middle, you're always going to get 100% from him. So whoever's playing left back, expect to be on the back foot at times because he is quite aggressive in his play. Rodgers, very clever, very smart player, attacking between the lines. So we need to make sure that he's not making any overlapping runs in terms of through the middle, on the shoulder, because he is capable of doing that. But he's got a great shot on him. So we need to make sure that he's not given the space or the opportunity to take any long shots from distance. Jacob Ramsey, it's kind of the forgotten man at Villa. Had a great breakthrough season 2-3 years ago. Hasn't quite delivered, maybe due to injuries or lack of form. So this is a great opportunity for him to really stand up and produce a stellar performance against the leaders of the Premier League right now. So I'll be interested to see how he does. I think it's better through the middle, but with Rodgers' form right now, you have to kind of make space somehow. So Ramsey, I expect him to play on the left, but in the second half, I do expect the personnel to change a bit more of a direct player like a Leon Bailey or Buendia or even Matson, who I mentioned earlier on. So those are players that you can expect to come in, and for the right side, probably even McGinn will be replaced by the likes of Bailey or Philogene. These are players that are very quick in terms of on and off the ball, and they have a decent shot on them and delivery as well. So they do have options off the bench. So it's not just the lineup. I feel like they do have players that can cause danger. And Watkins, he had a bit of a patchy start to the season, wasn't able to convert any finishes, but has picked up some form and certainly knows where the back of the net is now. So we need to make sure he's not having any chances, even half a chance. He does normally bury them, especially if you take into consideration his form from last season. So he's a player we know has ability. So we got to make sure that we're defensively sound and make sure he doesn't get through that defense in any shape or form. So that's the lineup, and that's the sort of tactical output I was saying to the how each player would play. I do expect Rodgers to form sort of like a double attack at times. Um, with Watkins, who loves to attack through the channels. Then you might even get Ramsey coming a bit more infield. You've got McGinn going up and down here, but then he could come in. So it ends up being like a 4-2-2-2 kind of formation. And then you've got the likes of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa wouldn't be going too far down, but you will have Luka Dean going up and down here. So this is a team that could, change their shape very quickly and then revert back to their original positions. Or if they're happy, if they want to be a bit more direct, this would be the formation they go, or they revert back to their original lineup like that. So they will have variations in their play. I think they do have the personnel to change that up. So definitely need to make sure we're on top of our game, despite their lack of form. I know they got thrashed by Spurs last week. They lost to Club Brugge midweek, and they also had a narrow defeat against Palace last week in the Carabao Cup. So they're not in great form, but sometimes when you're facing a big team, they seem to rise to the occasion, and this could be treated like a cup final for them. So you just never know what Villa team will turn up. In terms of Liverpool, let's discuss their team, our team, not their team, our team in more detail. So there'll be a lot of debates in this position, but I'll give you my reasoning in terms of why I've selected certain players. Kelleher, no reason to go into too much detail there. The only fit keeper, obviously, we've got Yaros as well, but you would expect Kelleher to start at a good performance against Leverkusen as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the first names on the team sheet, so he's there at right back. Konate, fantastic against Leverkusen. He will stay in the centre back position alongside Van Dijk. There you go. So that's our three defenders there. Left back. So if you watch my watch along and my match reaction midweek, you'd probably realize that I was in huge praise of Tsimikas, and I've even gone out and said that I feel like he could be our first choice left back going forward. But I'm thinking more of a tactical point of view now, where I'm trying to set the team up game by game. So with this fixture and with McGinn, who I predict to play right wing, I'm actually going to go for Robertson, as they're both players that know each other very well from the national team. So I feel like Robertson might have the upper hand in terms of defending against McGinn and try to reduce his influence in the team. So I've gone for Robertson for that purpose only, to make sure McGinn doesn't have any influence, and match him for speed, or match him for his sort of efficiency on that right side. Because I do feel like with Tsimikas, to be fair, he's been doing really well defensively, but I just feel like, when you've got that knowledge of the opponent, it might be good to use to your advantage. So that's why I've gone for Robertson in the back line. And then in terms of the double pivot, won't be too many surprise. Gravenberch and McAllister, who had a much better performance, I'd say, midweek. And then on the right side, that pretty much chooses itself, Mohamed Salah. And then the number 10 position and the left wing and the up top are the ones for debate for sure. Originally, I mean, you said it midweek, I would have gone for Curtis Jones just based on form. But I think from a tactical point of view, I might be swayed to start Szoboszlai on the basis that they've got Onana and Tielemans in their double pivot. And as I mentioned earlier on, Tielemans doesn't have the best engine. That's probably why he hasn't moved to a big club, because technically he's a very good player. But in terms of stamina and being an energetic box-to-box player, he doesn't have that in his locker to do it for the full 90 minutes or for a long period of a season. So for me, having Szoboszlai would be a smart selection for this game, where his pressing, his tenacity, and his energy to press for Liverpool would cause them havoc as well. So I think Szoboszlai would be a wise decision to start. I know he's not in the best of form, but I feel like it could just be a thing where he helps us out in terms of the first half, and then if we need to make changes, then we've got the likes of Curtis Jones available from the bench. On the left side, I'm sticking Cody Gakpo. I think he's been in such great form. And also with Konsa on that right back position, I feel like it would be a good player to have up against him. Gakpo is very direct, but the good thing about Gakpo in terms of his game is that he's very good on the ball on that left side. Can cut in, can even cross on his left foot if required. So I feel like he has that know-how in terms of how to beat the fullback. And when you've got a defensive-minded player, it might be worth having Gakpo then. And you've got Robertson doing overlapping runs, which will cause havoc on that side of the pitch. So I would go for Gakpo. I probably would have gone for Diaz if Gakpo wasn't in good form, to be honest with you. But there's a reason why, because I've gone for Diaz up top. So I've gone for the surprise selection midweek because I don't think anyone expected Diaz to play false nine. Interesting to hear what Arne Slot said after the game, where he said that the reason he selected Luis Diaz up top was because Jonathan Tah is probably one of the most physical defenders in the Bundesliga. So playing up against a traditional number 9 like Darwin Núñez would have been light work for him. Having a tricky opponent like Luis Diaz who drops deep and then attacks the channels, it was always going to create a bit of uncertainty for Jonathan Tah and as well as the back line of Bayer Leverkusen. So I'm sticking to that same kind of thinking and same kind of philosophy against Aston Villa because you've got Pau Torres, who's a good defender, but then I'd probably say not ability-wise, but in terms of stylistically, Jonathan Tah is quite similar to Diego Carlos, where they're very big, very strong, very powerful defenders. I'd probably say Tah is a lot better on the ball in terms of distribution, but they enjoyed that physicality of a battle against a number 9. So having Diaz dropping deep and causing a bit of uncertainty, and then having Szoboszlai pressing behind him as well, I feel like it could open up a lot of opportunities for Liverpool to create in the first half and even get an early goal, in my opinion. So that's my reasoning for the selection. If I was going to go based on form, I probably would have put Jones in the number 10 role, and I would have gone for Tsimikas on the left back role, which I'm sure a lot of you guys would probably have selected. But I've tried to be a bit smart in terms of what I think Arsenal would do in terms of team selection. So this is my prediction. Drop a comment, let me know what you guys think. In terms of how I think the game will unfold, I'm going to go for a home win. I think the losing streak under Aston Villa will continue. So they've lost 3 back-to-back fixtures in 3 competitions. And yeah, this will be their 4th. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Liverpool at home. And in terms of the goal scorers, I will select Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, and Mohamed Salah for our goal scorers. And for Aston Villa, I think Morgan Rogers will get the consolation goal. So that's my prediction for this fixture. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming content, I will be doing a live watch along of this fixture. It's a bit of a strange time. It's at 8 p.m. UK time on Saturday evening. So I'll be live from 10 to 8 so we can discuss the lineups together. Let's see if, my tactical announce was correct in terms of how Arne Slot was set up. And we can discuss it together and then watch the game. Feel free to drop your comments during the match. I'll try and engage with you as much as possible. And then we'll do a follow-up show later in the evening, possibly around 11 p.m. for the match reaction. It is a calling show, so if you'd like to come on and have your say, a link will be pinned in the live chat. So yeah, feel free to come on. Whether we win, lose, or draw, you're welcome to express your views on this channel. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. Stay safe. Enjoy your Friday evening and the start of the weekend. And I hope to see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.